I am back. And I have a number of tabs open that could be tantamount to mental illness, but that's how much has happened and how long I have gone without streaming. Anyways, let me adjust my microphone properties for a moment. That's not what I meant. Okay, there we go. Filters. Sure, I'll have that noise suppression active. Right? Suppression level is at -30. Let me know if anything sounds funky. But regardless, we're gonna get started. Man, oh man, are we gonna get started? Okay. Whoops. Right. Wrong, thing. Oh, wait, actually, hold on. I might have done something wrong when I launched this. We'll see. Aha! Never mind. We're good. It says 6.0.21 up in the corner there, but the update isn't fully completed. So, that's what's up. Still got to, download for... Oops. You know what? Let me actually go in and turn off the noise suppression. Remove. Yes. Okay. I have a noise gate. That should be fine. So you guys are gonna hear maybe some background noise from the fan that's in the corner there. That's blowing some cool air into my room. But ultimately, I think I prefer that to having this weird, like, staticky hiss noise that happens whenever I talk and exclusively when I talk, because that sounds a little bit more natural. The just potentially having the fan going. Although it's possible you guys can't even hear that because I still have a noise gate on my microphone. Okay. Updating. Yeah, it's probably gonna take a while. Out of curiosity, I actually didn't check how big the update was. I just kind of assumed that I'd be able to get most of it done for stream. 1.1 gigabytes. Okay, that's a lot. Uh, to avoid the sunk cost fallacy, I'm just gonna download this to my PC. And I will go get my SD to USB adapter. And I'll do it that way. There we are. God damn, this thing's convenient. Okay. Let's turn you off, Wii U. Please. I'm holding the power button and the Wii U is not turning off. Oh boy, okay, I'm gonna have to unplug it again. God dang it. Alright, let's just do our thing here. Alright. Way I can get up to whatever speed this SD card is capable of rather than slow ass Wii U speeds. Okay. You got downloads. Open, I'm gonna turn on the Wii U again. I'm gonna unzip all this into USB drive. Yeah, okay. And okay, this is gonna go much faster, I think, than doing this on my Wii U, because the Wii U, you know, it's done me well, but this is a 12-year-old piece of hardware, which is pretty old in terms of any kind of computing power that you could reasonably expect. USB 2 is still not new by any stretch, but it's at least more recent. So I'll get speeds decent enough to have this downloaded and installed in time. I'm already, we're already at 14%. It'll only take a couple of minutes. And oh, what's really nice, you guys can't see this, but on the little Windows, what's the thing, like file transfer, where it shows you the progress of copying, pasting, replacing files and whatnot. It actually says how many items are remaining and how much time it expects to take. Right now, there's 500 something items remaining, and it's going down 1 or 2 per second. So. Aha! Replace all of these files that have the same names. Thank you. And I'll assume I have to probably re-enable the My Stuff folder when I open the app. So, as that's going, I think I'm gonna get started on the list of stuff today. And I will begin with something that nobody cared about when it happened, which is hilarious. It adds to the hilarity, but it itself is also, it's pretty funny. So, did you guys hear there was another assassination attempt on Donald Trump? It's crazy. You're just telling me about this now for the first time. It kind of just came and gone without much fuss. Again, because, like, nobody cared. So there was this crazy guy that went to Mar-a-Lago with a gun while Trump was reportedly there and tried to shoot him. I think shot at him or something. You know, truthfully, I don't even care enough to look for the full details of the event. What matters was there was a gunman. He was crazy. He went and shot. You know, shoot your shot, King. He did that. And the Secret Service got his ass. El Bozo. And the right wing, of course, did their typical thing, where they were kind of trying to look for a way that they could attach this to the left, right? Like they did with the first assassination attempt, the right wing wanted to be like, this is the left's fault. But they couldn't really do that with the first one because that guy was a registered Republican. It was fascist on fascist violence. And wouldn't you know it, similar thing happened here. This guy might not have been a fascist necessarily, but his political views are all over the place. And I believe he was registered Republican. Maybe. So the suspect's name is Ryan Routh. Routh. I don't know how you pronounce that, but my man's is, from what I saw about his politics online, my man's is pro-Ukraine, pro-Taiwan, but also pro-North Korea, and supported literally every candidate during the 2020 primaries. Before the general election happened, he was a Bernie supporter, he was a Tulsi Gabbard supporter, he was a Biden supporter, and a Trump supporter, all like at the same time. He is pro Elon Musk and pro guns, as is typical of your average mentally ill American, but also pro Black Lives Matter. So somebody posted a picture of the economic, or not economic, the political spectrum, the with the 4 quadrants and whatever, but they warped it into this giant fucking spiral of destruction in the middle of the screen. And you know what, I think that's only appropriate for this guy, because nobody fucking knows what this guy was cooking in his brain, least of all himself. Yeah. Unfortunately, so it would be an incredibly funny opportunity for Kamala Harris's campaign to just say nothing. That would be really funny. But she's already leaned into the centrist bullshit about, the sort of business as usual, sandblasting off any identifiable characteristics of her personality, and returning to the civility politics that Democrats are known for, that ultimately produced the situation that we're in now, with Republicans being, insane fascists. So, she called up Donald Trump and said, oh my god, I'm sorry, political violence is bad. Political cuck shit, but pretty characteristic of the Democrats. I just think that it is really funny that we got schizo on schizo violence again. And nobody cares about this assassination attempt. Even more so than they didn't about the last one. Assuming the last one happened, depending on which circles you run in on the left online, there's a nice bit about that shit being fake, because that photograph, we would all remember if it was real. That photograph of Trump, with the Secret Service guys around him pumping his fist, we would all know if that was real, right? But that that shit is AI generated. And this assassination is probably gonna go into the dustbin of history even quicker than that whole affair. Oh, goodness. Okay. Oh, is the transfer done? It is. Nice. Okay, so now I can actually take this SD card. Very nice, very good. SD card. Put you back in the Wii U. There it is. Open Retro Rewind. I'm gonna run the update thing just to double check and make sure that everything is installed correctly. And then I will run the game. Yes, I do want that. Wow, look how fast that was. Finished. Thank you. Rebooting. Alright, cool. Cool. Anyway, with that now covered, I don't even know if I want to make a segment out of that because it's so insignificant. As funny as it is. I don't even know the motivations for the shooter. What was this guy motivated by? Here, let's go to options. Here we go, my stuff. Thank you. Launch, please. Nice. Records show Routh, that's the assassin, would-be assassin, has an extensive criminal history in North Carolina. Protested in Kyiv after Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022 and wrote a self-published 291-page book. So they don't know what this guy's motivations were. To be fair, I don't think this guy knows what his own motivations were either, but alright, sure. Whatever, I guess. Retro WS. I don't know if anybody will be online right now. In any appreciable capacity. Worth a shot. Yeah, look at that. Oh my god, that Mario skin is so cool. You know what? Just because of that, I'm gonna play Mario. He's so fucking cool with his hoodie and his sideways hat. Oops. Alright, we got a little 1v1 going on. Very cool. Do this for a little bit. Hopefully the room grows or there's another room online with some more people. That'd be nice. Something like that. Alright, cool. Let's see, what else do we have? Ah, yes. Alright. God, the story about... Hey, oh. A time trial. Oh my god, what is going on? My controller freaked out for a second. I guess I'm doing an online time trial early in the morning, sure. What is this rule set that this guy has? Oh my god, I'm getting really bad controller drift. Yeah. What is going on? Alright. Look, what the hell? Here, I'm gonna try holding this as I plug in. How are we looking? Okay, just as a test. I'm gonna try to wheelie straight. I'm gonna do this. Okay, good. Cool. Alright. That was a very weird thing. I guess I didn't see that the time trial worldwides were were the first option there, so I'm just gonna kind of hang out here for now. I'll let this guy sort of do his laps and, you know, do his thing. And with that, I'll move on to the second thing that I wanted to talk about, which is, again, the Haitian migrants in Springfield. They've put up with some shit. Okay. Yeah, I got disconnected. I did not mean to go on time trial worldwides. That was error on my part. Let's see. What do I have open for this? Couple of things, right? Yeah, here we go. Okay. Like about a week ago. Oh yeah, here we go. Worldwide retro worldwide. So this is time trials. Nice. All right, yeah. There's gonna be some people here. Nice. About a week ago, a rumor started circulating about Haitian migrants in the small city of Springfield, Ohio, eating dogs and cats. I shouldn't have to specify this, but that's not even remotely true in any way, shape, or form. Not even close. They just made that shit up. But within 2 days, it went from a Facebook post to the presidential debate stage. And it quickly became a blood libelous narrative engaged in by the entire right wing in the United States. From the top all the way down. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance were doing this. The pundits over on Fox News were engaging in this narrative that Haitian migrants were eating pets and whatnot. Very quickly, it grew out of control, and unfortunately, the Democrats were not willing to do anything meaningful to check that narrative. They weren't willing to call out the Republican Party by name. They were not willing to, indicate that they would rein in all of the, right-wing, the components of the right-wing misinformation machine to prevent this narrative from getting out of hand even further. They did their typical sort of whinging. And now let's see the result. It has gone beyond those Haitian migrants and has gone beyond just they're eating dogs and cats. One account on social media, this got quite a bit of traction. The right wing really wanted to pick up on this. They have taken that same narrative and just for no discernible reason that I can think of, they just decided actually it's also Bosnians that are cooking and eating your dogs and cats. Why? I don't know. It's like the last time Bosnians were a set of talking points in the American media was the 1990s when the Yugoslav ethnic cleansing was taking place. The one thing I can think of is just that the right is so insane. They are itching, I tell you, to commit a pogrom against migrants, and they don't particularly care which group of migrants it is. And this is their way of saying, hey, let's implicate these people too. You know? That's the first thing. The second thing is they've also tripled down on the narrative with Haitian immigrants. I believe there was a speech by Tucker Carlson at, I think it was, I don't know if it was TPUSA or some other event. Maybe it was like CPAC. One of those conservative conferences where they have a bunch of pundits to speak and whatnot. And they made a subtle but really meaningful alteration to the narrative from merely they are eating the pets to now they are doing ritual sacrifice of the pets. which is actually much closer to the like blood libel narrative of the Middle Ages, and in some ways is actually more extreme. You know, the blood libel narrative typically of the Middle Ages was against the Jews was like, oh, they're drinking the blood of babies and stuff like that, which was just like a sort of demonic implication there. This time it's literally they are taking dogs and cats and doing ritual sacrifice to I don't know, fucking appease the voodoo gods. Never mind, number one, that's insane and is not happening. You know, fucking citation needed in giant bold font covering the entire screen, right? And never mind that number two, Haitians overwhelmingly are not pagan. they're you know, if you look at the religious demographics of Haiti, they're mostly Catholic. You know, with some Protestantism sprinkled in there as well. But the fascists don't care. They really just don't, because this isn't about any of that. This isn't about like whether or not something's true. This is about them hating black people, them hating Haitians especially, and wanting to kill them in large numbers. And that is the only consistent through line that you could really draw here. Like I said, they've been itching for a chance to do this for some time. In fact, this is so reminiscent of Nazi Germany that the street-level fascist gang violence is also happening. Like, it's so one-to-one. Here we have... let's see. Let me actually take some time to corroborate this. This post says that... Haitian community in Springfield, Ohio wakes up to smashed windows and acid thrown on their cars. Let's see, from MSNBC. I couldn't get it in time. But regardless, the street level violence, that's examples of street level violence I cannot confirm right away, but there have been news reports already about migrants, or not sometimes not even migrants. Some of them are just, you know, like permanent residents already. Haitians being threatened in the form of bomb threats being directed at hospitals and at schools. I've mentioned on another stream that there have been schools have had to be evacuated mid school day, and hospitals have also had to be like evacuated and escalated security and whatever, because people are threatening to shoot or bomb people at those schools and hospitals, solely for the fact that those schools and hospitals also serve Haitian members of the community. And in fact, there are some pamphlets. I saw some photographs of this. There are pamphlets circulating in open daylight from the KKK. You know, the Ku Klux Klan, and allegedly, or I guess I could say allegedly, but reportedly, these were being distributed by a local priest, like a local pastor. You know, shoutouts to fucking evangelical Protestantism and its consequences. And there, like I said, there is no indication that this is going to get any better, because I've harped on this point before, and I will do it as many times as I have to. The only people willing to engage in narrative setting here are the people propagating this narrative, and not the, you know, not the Democrats. You know, the people who are nominally opposed to this kind of politics are not willing to act in opposition to this kind of politics. They're not willing to say, like, yeah, this is fucking despicable, and like we're gonna be fucking investigating the news outlets and people that are spreading these claims, because this is putting people's lives very openly at risk, and this is getting people killed. I can't believe that ended up working out. Alright, let's take the opportunity to look at that. Acid attacks. Here, let's see. This is an article about Trump, not an article about Springfield. MSNBC, fucking, you disappoint me. Let's see if Wikipedia has something. Yes, okay. There we go. Okay, yes. Wikipedia, which cites the New York Times and various other news outlets. There's already a Wikipedia article about this whole affair. The subsequent violence and threats. On September 12th, a bomb threat led to the closing of Springfield City Hall, several Clark County buildings, and a local elementary school. The mayor said that the person making the threat, quote, used hateful language towards migrants and Haitians in our community. On September 13th, more bomb threats caused several schools and municipal buildings to be evacuated and closed. On September 14th, it just keeps going. Yet more bomb threats that led to temporary lockdowns of other sites. The bomb threats were sent via email. Multiple agencies and media outlets. In response, I think this was the mayor that said we need help, not hate. The same day, Wittenberg University in Springfield announced that all the activities on campus were canceled the next day after receiving an emailed threat of a potential shooting targeting Haitians. I'm just using this. I'm skipping through here a little bit. Like, I can't read all of this while I'm driving here. There's only so much I can get to. Also, I'm somehow in second now. The New York Times apparently is reporting on this story that Haitian residents, some of whom have lived in the town for years, are seeing acid be thrown in their cars and having windows broken. So that tweet, I guess, was wrong in the sense that it was not MSNBC who was reporting this, but rather the New York Times. But things are as bad as they seem and worse in the city of Springfield, Ohio. Awkward section there. Okay. All right, third place. Asked if he would denounce the bomb threats, Trump replied, "I don't know what happened with the bomb threats. I know it's been taken over by illegal migrants, and that's a terrible thing that happened." So, continuing to propagate the narrative. And notably, the Republicans have been the only ones talking about this. They've been the only ones actually exerting any sort of agency and agenda-setting power in this situation, and it is in service of making the crisis worse, endangering more Haitian migrants, trying to drive the rhetoric up to a fever pitch, at which point there will most likely be a pogrom. If anybody doesn't know what that word means out there, there might be some people who don't. A pogrom is basically either a massacre or a mass expulsion of a certain minority group from an area. So, think of how a genocide or an ethnic cleansing is a long, sustained campaign to exterminate or otherwise expel an entire ethnic group from a region or something like that. A pogrom is basically a miniaturized version of that, where you have, instead of a whole region, it's like one town or one village or community, you know? But it's still this sort of racially or ethnically or sometimes religiously targeted violence against an entire group. I didn't hit that other boost panel. This story about the Haitian migrants, and I think I'll wrap it up with this, provides two great examples. It provides a great example, number one, of like just how bad the Republicans are, and then number two, of what I mean when I say that the Democrats are, rather than being an ally, they're simply a weak opposition. Because obviously the Republicans are fascists and they're insane, right? Like, anybody can plainly see that, you know, just by looking. But then, again, like, if we had political allies in this situation, if there were people whose political position was, well, we don't want Haitian migrants to be killed and marginalized and like have a pogrom committed against them, what they would be doing is getting out there and being like, we need to investigate all of these fucks who engaged in propagating this narrative, knowing that it wasn't true. We need to basically get Fox News shut down and all the news outlets that are saying, like, basically doing blood libel of an entire community of migrants, knowing that they have the full force of, like, an entire political party machine behind them, right? To do otherwise, I feel like is tantamount to democratic malpractice, that you just kind of let this behavior sit. And make no mistake, I don't, like, expect the Democrats to do that either. I don't expect the Democrats to actually act on this. I don't expect liberals to advocate for any course of action that isn't vote Donald Trump out of office, because to them, this is only a problem with Trump. Trump has been actually a shockingly small part of this whole affair. All of the, like, Trump almost wasn't even a necessary component of this to happen. Like, there was no need for Trump to be there at any stage of this process. You know, you could remove Trump. The pipeline plays out largely the same. It's the whole Republican Party. It's the entire right wing. It's all the news outlets, all the politicians, the pundits, the party structure, and at this point, it's their supporters too, because the base of right-wing support in the United States has been fed day in and day out propaganda from outlets such as Fox News, or if you're a little bit more kooky with it, something like Newsmax or like, I don't know, Real America's Voice, whatever the fuck other right-wing news outlets there are. And they've only been able to be fed that because there's been no accountability for when narratives like this pop up in the news. The politics of the United States have been getting steadily more anti-immigrant with time. It didn't used to be like this. The discourse didn't used to be like this. Even Republicans back in the day were pro-immigration and like, to a certain degree, pro-lenient border policy. But because of a lot of things, and especially, because of the lack of pushback on the movement to the right, this is where we are now. Oh, I didn't quite get him. Alright, come here, dude. Oh, don't mind if I do. Here, you take the inside line. Or not. I'm happy to get second here. That's fine. In fact, I'm probably gonna go out of my way to chain this. Here, there you go. No, I'm not gonna challenge. There we go. That's how you read the social cues and how you kind of write the social cues in the race. I tried with my movement to make it evident that I wasn't going to challenge first because that was only going to end really poorly for me if I did. Yeah, I don't think I have much to say left on the whole discourse about like you know, the blood libel against Haitian immigrants. This has just been, I guess, another episode in the GOP wants to kill everybody, especially migrants. And it's worth mentioning that, like, they can't even put up the facade, you know, convincingly of illegal immigrants anymore because, I mean, not that they ever really could, but these were legal migrants. In fact, they were invited specifically to Springfield, Ohio by the town of Springfield, Ohio, because Springfield was a dying-ass, like, hollowed-out, good-for-nothing Rust Belt city that had, you know, whose glory days were long since past. And they needed the labor. They needed help. And, you know, the government was like, okay, you know, we can send some migrants to live there for a decent amount of time. They can help, basically, you know, they can be an extra supply of labor for the town, breathe new life into it. And that's exactly what they did. But then, you know, a bunch of fucking fascists decided they didn't like that and decided, you know what, actually, let's kill all the people that make life worth living in this town. Like, great, impeccable political mission that you've got there. I'm sure that won't, like, result in life only getting worse for literally everybody involved, you know? Yeah, you kind of had that, not had it coming, but you kind of got to see stuff like that coming. And I had this coming. Right? Whoa, that is the weirdest interaction I've ever had with that. Alright, I want to get a box here. That'd be good. Okay. I think I can do the ultra with this. I forgot. I feel like I've spent so much time playing this track just on Wi-Fi, I've kind of forgot all the shroom strats because those are more oriented towards time trials. Okay, got 3 shrooms. I know this is a good spot to use a mushroom. Because even with how fast the wall glitch is, I think using a mushroom there is still faster. Cool. Mario with a sideways hat. You'll love to see it. Oh, somebody's on Dragonite. Let's go. Another Dragonite appreciator. Also, I've been there have been some moments since the Kamala Harris and Tim Walz campaign have sort of, or particularly with respect to Kamala Harris, have decided to do the shtick where they abandon all progressive politics and just run to the center again, a set of political prescriptions that nobody cares about or believes in. They have sparked the common debate again between people who actually have political values on the left and people who are just team sports pilled, basically, or lie somewhere along that spectrum. They've sparked that debate again, and I've been having this debate with I mean, mostly just with people in real life, because online discourse is so toxic. I tend to never engage in it, except for like the rare example where I can be like academically detached in something, because that's, I mean, interesting to me from a like perspective of learning about an issue. But one thing that's been going on is that I expressed skepticism about the Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney endorsement for the Kamala Harris campaign. And I was like, not gonna lie, this is a massive fucking L, politically speaking. I don't care whether or not it's like in the intermediate short term a good strategy. Trump already isn't in contention for the presidency. There's no outcome that I can see, or that probably anybody who's politically literate can really see, where Trump wins the election fair and square, right? Like, even with the Electoral College being the way it is, Trump just has nothing going for his campaign anymore, except for the insane cult of support that he's already had, which at this point is unwavering, right? So the only thing that you would be, like, the only reason that you could potentially have for boosting and emphatically accepting the endorsement of Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, and now multiple like neocons, like previous members of the Reagan administration, other Republican politicians, the only reason that you would be broadcasting that those people support you is if you wanted to have an excuse to move to the right, or to keep like doing the whole centrist do nothing shtick. You know, such is characteristic of a neoliberal candidate, of course. You know, it's not like this was completely unexpected. But I've gotten into weird arguments with people where they've been like, yeah, that shit is the dumbest thing to be bragging about. Like, wow, you have the endorsement of the war architect of the Middle East. Like, you have wow, the worst people possible support your campaign. Great endorsement. I'm sure this will energize a progressive base of support that will help you win. Like, this isn't going to help Trump win, but it is going to make the election closer than it would be otherwise. Because right now, what Harris is struggling with is not centrist. You know, Democrats have never struggled with a centrist base of support. Democrats are centrist. What they've struggled with is cultivating a progressive base of support, because ultimately they're not on the left. They're not progressives. You know, I've only been vindicated since then, as much as like liberals try to argue from some fucking place of conventional wisdom otherwise. Because that's exactly what Democrats are going to do. They're obeying the obviously like predictable pattern of like quote unquote moderating, which just means moving to the right, abandoning the uncommitted voters and like basically giving a giant middle finger to progressives like they always have. Also, Ricky the Nerd, welcome to chat. Great to have you here. Always like to see new faces. It's just so fucking dumb. And this is why I say that, like, even though I firmly believe we are going to see socialism in my lifetime, I will stand by that, and I'm prepared to like make that case. This is why we're just going to be chasing our tails in circles for the foreseeable future, or rather, liberals are going to be chasing their tails in circles for this foreseeable future, because they have an ideological opposition, well, to being any ideology other than what they are currently. Went to college with you. Won't say more, not to dox you, lol. Oh, wow, cool. Good to see a fellow grad here. It's fucking, like... Okay. Let me take a beat and try to, like, expand a little bit on my critique of the Democratic Party here and the Kamala Harris campaign, because they had a good thing going with having unions at the DNC. In fact, the presence of people like Sean Fain and AOC and the kind of enthusiastic support that they were able to draw is one of the things that makes me say socialism is back on the menu for like within my lifetime. Not because I'm under any illusion that Democrats are going to support socialism and workers' unions and whatever, but because whether the Democrats like it or not, Workers' unions are back. Trade unions are back. Working class politics is back. So they can't keep getting away with, like, and I don't mean like they can't keep getting away with this. They are not going to be able to keep selling the milquetoast, like, trite neoliberal narrative of creating jobs and middle class this, middle class that. There is no middle class. Shut up. You know? The whole, like, opportunity economy bullshit. None of the economic talking points that the Democrats have, the liberal talking points, resonate with people who vote for the Democratic Party. It's all limousine liberal shit. Sure, these people donate money to the Democrats, but, like, the people that constitute their real base of support, these are people that the Working Families Party and, like, the Justice Dems and the Sunrise Movement, that's their base of support, you know? The working class disproportionately supports the Democratic Party over the Republican Party. You know, the only reason that very poor areas disproportionately go red is because there are fewer people in those areas. You know, and ever since the 1990s and the early 2000s, class consciousness has been increasing. It's not, like, we're not at revolutionary levels yet, not even close. But it like, again, there's the sort of status quo kind of messaging that the Democrats really like to do, that they did with Obama, that they do with, like, Hillary Clinton, whatever, is sort of smarmy liberal condescending shit that people have never really cared for, and especially don't care for anymore. Any more funding and education for that to happen, Sag? Yeah, for sure. Especially now that we're seeing the effects of mass college education taper off, where college education is no longer doing much to reduce the class divide that previously existed, because college costs so much, and going to college doesn't even guarantee you a good job anymore. That's the old class dynamics, basically, of Gilded Age America are only going to re-solidify themselves, assuming, and I have every reason to assume this, that the Democrats stay with the same platform that they have, which is middle class, small business. What's the working class? They don't exist, you know? Like, basically, the Democrats are telling us who they are by saying, hey, look, we're hanging out with Reagan-era neocons and Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney, right? That's who the Democratic Party is. They're just the moderate wing of fascism. You know, they're not going to do anything meaningful to help us escape from the crisis of, well, fascists gaining power, because they are the crisis. They are the circumstances which enabled fascists to gain power, you know? So they're never going to provide an answer to that, because in their minds, there's nothing to provide an answer to, you know? They have a very, like, there's this very ahistorical perspective where they'll signal to all kinds of stuff. But, like, fundamentally, you know, however much they might say otherwise, there's a belief on the liberal side that, like, there is no more history to do. History's done, you know? I don't know. The weather's kind of frizzing my brain a bit. I feel like I could be more coherent about that than I am right now. I think it should suffice to say that, like, in lieu of how Kamala Harris has been behaving, especially with her recent interview, after these kinds of waves of endorsement from people on the right, from people on, like, the neoconservative right, as opposed to overt fascists, I think I've been vindicated in all my critiques of, like, hey, I don't know if you necessarily want to be broadcasting that you're endorsed by fucking Dick Cheney. You know, like, I don't think you actually want that, actually. And, you know, this is going to... I know that there are going to be libs who will, like... I don't know. They're going to see things through the white veil whenever anything happens regarding the Democratic Party, is what's up. I mean, that's kind of one of the consequences of a two-party system such as this, is that you know, a lot of people get kind of conditioned into believing that this is the range of politics, like that the only two options are liberalism or conservatism, i.e., liberalism again. You know, it's one of those things I've been talking about where I think I said this on the segment where I analyzed Trump's insane speech at Turning Point USA, where he said you won't have to vote again. In the same way that liberals are the moderate wing of fascism, they produce the circumstances under which fascism arises. Fascism is also just the extremist wing of liberalism. You know, like it is a doubling down in some ways on a liberal capitalist system where you are trying to like basically revert to an earlier stage of capitalism. A lot of fascist rhetoric is very reminiscent of imperialist capitalism, which is a stage of capitalism that no longer exists. We're in late stage capitalism, not high stage capitalism. You know, things have sort of changed in a way that make this crisis look a little bit different each time it comes up. And of course, just to hammer in the initial point again, liberals will never address this crisis because they are the crisis, you know? Fascism is the symptom, liberalism is the crisis. Liberalism is the disease. You know, so like obviously when you've got a cold, you gotta drink that chicken broth, but like the problem isn't your fever, the problem is the cold. You know, the fever just sucks. I don't know if that 100% tracks that like analogy, but look, you work with what you got. Oh shit. Not addressing the root of the problem, so this shit will never get fixed. Yes, exactly. Because the root of the problem is the fact that there's been like an endless cycle of austerity politics, and that has been in part perpetuated by the Democrats. The Democrats and the Republicans in the 1980s and 90s worked hand in hand on a lot of austerity-related projects that continue today to hollow out, small town America, to hollow out the working class, to shrink whatever semblance of a middle class existed, and by middle class I mean people who are working class but like have a decent income, and ultimately funnel wealth upwards. That has created a very severe degree of alienation, to get a little bit more theoretical about it, and that alienation is something that people are like naturally want to seek redress of. But Democrats, because they are Democrats and Republicans at the time, because they both cause that alienation, they have ideological biases, motives, and baked in sort of mental blocks that prevent them from addressing it. On the Republicans' part, it was much more active because they were way more frequently the party of big business. But on the Democrats' part, it's almost like the fact that systemic change is an option just doesn't occur to them, you know. And, with Republicans, the cycle was that initially they went to reactionary politics as a method of distracting from what they knew was unpopular, that being tax cuts, austerity, and all the rest. But then when they realized how popular the reactionism and the far-right populism was as a response to neoliberal austerity, they started to do that on principle. And because that doesn't fundamentally challenge a capitalist system, the Democrats have never been able to offer an effective response to it, because the Democrats also represent a capitalist system. They represent the circumstances from which that sprung. So the best that they can offer is a return to those same crisis-inducing circumstances. It's just frustrating to see sometimes, because you get a whiff of progressives being included into the fold. You get a whiff of somebody like Sean Fain, you get Bernie Sanders, you get AOC up on that stage, which does mean that the Democratic Party has to contend with those voices and those politics, whether they like it or not. But at the same time, I think, now we're seeing the Democratic Party is broadcasting the message, yeah, no, we're not progressives. and we are still going to do business as usual, even if it kills us. And so that's just the sort of signal to us that, like, shit, we're gonna have to be fighting for this until the day we die, basically. Which, I mean, to an extent, that's how politics works, right? Never-ending cycle of people fighting for some better shit against the interests of everybody in power, everybody who, like, has a lot of property to defend and all that sort of shit. It's always a fight against property interests. Ow. I have not been driving well today. Does the bullet bill take this shortcut? No! It takes the long way around. Oh well. Look, we're going into lap 2. It's fine. That was a really good POW. Alright, I'm gonna mushroom through here. Ah, that's a crazy shortcut. I'm taking this box. 1 mushroom. Okay, that's probably fine. This. What happened to everybody? Everybody just died on that first turn. Okay, I got him. Oh no, somebody's gonna get those mushrooms. Oop. After this race, there's another thing that I want to talk about. Very significant event in the news cycle. Oh shit! What a target shock! No, got bumped. I got fritzed. Okay. You know, I think I drove okay that race. I'll try to clean it up next time. It's been a while since my last ACAB segment. Real channel veterans, real American patriots will remember that there was a brief period of time where I was playing Risk of Rain 2, and I did a segment about the cops and how fucking useless they are. Every now and again, shit like this will come up. But you know, I keep being vindicated sometimes. And recently, yes, the NYPD. That is exactly what I'm talking about here. In my slew of tabs that are large enough to suggest that I have mental ailments, is a story about the New York Police Department. Now, you guys probably know the story if you're saying, oh god, not the NYPD, but the origin point of this particular episode of that was that there was a guy who went, like, and fare jumped. Basically, if you're not familiar with the term, that means they avoided the fare for public transit. Or for, like, you know, mass transit. They hopped over the little fare machine that charges you money, and they skipped out on $2.90. Like, big deal, right? Apparently to the cops, it was a big deal, because the New York Police Department proceeded to run this guy down on foot, and with guns drawn, by the way. They ran him down through the subway system, I believe, and they shot not only him, but 2 other bystanders and another cop. In fact, they killed one of the bystanders that they shot. I believe they shot them in the head. Over less than $3. They like chased this guy down, shot him, shot 2 other people, shot a cop as well. And of course, because it's the police, the manufacturing consent machine went to work manufacturing that consent, you know. They do be manufacturing the consent in the consent manufacturing machine. You know, all sorts of news outlets saying, oh, allegedly the guy had a knife, which the cops lied about, and then later, you know, news stories came out that had to, that retracted that information. The mayor, Eric Adams, being a former cop himself, like, lumping all sorts of praise on the cops for being so brave as to kill 2 people, or like, you know, do a mass shooting over $3. Like, great, thank you. And this hammers in on a point that I outlined in my video about, like, did no random bystander died as a result? Yeah. That's because that's what the police are there to do. They're not there to, like, protect people's lives or whatever. They're there to protect the interests of property. They're there to, well, chase down somebody that skips a $3 fare. This was the police doing their job. Their job is to protect property interests at all costs, including human life being one of those costs. So, let's see. There have been protests over this. Protests have erupted in New York City, and the police have responded exactly how you could predict them to, by beating up the protesters. You know, wow, you're mad that we killed 4 people over a guy skipping a $3 fare? Fuck you, actually. Go to the hospital. I will send you there myself. We protect and serve, by the way. You know, great. Awesome. Multiple instances of police brutality have been documented as part of these protests. And in an unrelated incident as well, just to, like, put salt on the wounds, rub salt on the wounds, this is who the NYPD is. Another unrelated incident that happened actually quite recently as well. I believe on the same day, or just like a day or two afterwards. Video has emerged of NYPD cops. This is from CBS 2 New York. This has the video here. Cops brutally beating a man working at a homeless shelter. You know, the best and brightest, ladies and gentlemen. The cops didn't have a warrant to enter the facility. They did not have a warrant, I should repeat to make very clear. And the guy that they beat up said, "I'm not letting you in," basically, if you don't have a warrant. And so they forced their way in and beat the shit out of him. So now that everybody is primed for the ACAB narrative here by seeing the kind of behavior that police get up to regularly, because, like, sometimes if this were just a one and done incident, it wouldn't be, like, newsworthy enough for me to even talk about it. The thing that makes it newsworthy is the fact that there were protests about it. You know, kind of like a like self-fulfilling prophecy. Is newsworthy because it was in the news or whatever. But all of that outlines a point that I made in the previous video where I, you know, did the whole ACAB sort of rant, which is that the police don't serve a function in society. They don't serve a valid function. And when I say valid function, I don't mean like, oh, well, protecting property interests is valid. Fuck no, it isn't. They, like, in the data that I outlined on the previous segment, there was a Reuters article that sort of aggregated the abstracts and conclusions, whatever, of a bunch of studies, you know, academics, I think, that were writing this review or whatever. I could probably bring it up if I make this a segment, that the amount of funding that police had, the amount of officers that were present on the streets, had a negligible impact on how safe a community was. In fact, to such an extent that it was not statistically significant. So not having police, just as good as having police, you know? In fact, if the sort of shit that police get up to regularly is this, then, you know, there's an argument to be made, theoretically speaking, that not having police at all would be a better society than the one that we have right now. But I don't need to make that argument theoretically, because that argument can be made with data. There's another article that I had pulled up. I wanted to corroborate this from a educational institution, and so I did. I believe from Temple University. There is an article talking about some data that 1 in every 3 people who are killed by a stranger are killed by the police. Let's go to the article. 1/3 of all Americans killed by strangers are killed by the police. Nice. Quantifying police killings. From 2020. Wow, great. So, 4 years ago. Things have only probably gotten worse since then because the police have only gotten more militarized over time. Although I don't know if it's worse enough to alter that statistic in any meaningful way. The Washington Post database of fatal police shootings showed 14 unarmed black victims and 25 unarmed white victims in 2019. Take that for what you will. That's one data point. I don't know exactly what it's indicative of. Now, it is worth mentioning right away that this is stranger killings. It is very likely in murder cases that the victim and the perpetrator of the crime will know each other. A lot of times, murder or manslaughter or whatever, they are personally motivated. But in all the instances where you could be killed by someone you don't know, statistically speaking, it's probably going to be the police. Rather than any other set of demographics that could compose the rest of that 2/3, you know. Alright, I gotta pay attention to the race for a second here. This is a new track. I have not raced this one before. Whoa, okay. Now, I know a lot of people would also go to the defense of police that, well, hold on, you know, police don't just protect and serve in that way directly. They also, their job is to stop crimes or to prevent crimes. That's not their job. In fact, that's not what police do. They have never been, like, meaningfully effective at doing those things, being, like, investigators, stopping crime or preventing crime. What they're there to do, again, is protect property interests. I'll refer back to the Reuters article that I read. I think it was about a year ago I did this segment. Police have never solved even a bare majority of crimes committed. And the crimes that they most often pay attention to, or rather the infractions, I should say, the violations of the law that the police are most frequently on top of, is traffic violations. And when I say traffic violations, I mean pulling somebody over, like, on account of their race. Like, the majority of the time spent by police is spent, like, pulling over drivers who will disproportionately be minorities. To try to get, basically, you know, money from traffic tickets. That's what police do. They are there to crack black skulls and break strikes. Anything else is a purely optional component of the police's job. Someone turning to data to try to quantify, this is going back to the article, try to quantify the problem of police killing, or police brutality more broadly, would probably be frustrated by these statements, which are not necessarily contradictory, but they differ in their general thrust. On the one hand, Patrick Ball, writing in 2016, that notes that police killings are so numerous they make up a good portion of stranger homicides that Americans give so much disproportionate attention to. Clearance rates of all crimes are what, like 2%? It's pretty low. Here, hold on. Clearance rate of crimes. In criminal justice, clearance rate is calculated by dividing the number of crimes that are cleared, charge being laid, by the total number of crimes recorded. Let's see. Crimes cleared by arrest. Murder is at, let's see, 62%, and then theft and burglary are below 20% each. But that's just a cursory look at Wikipedia. I'd have to investigate further to know the full extent of, like, I don't know, I guess how gummed up the criminal justice system is, because it is really fucking gummed up. I mean, I know, one thing I do know is that the majority of cases never make it to trial, irrespective of whether or not a person's guilty. Usually it gets settled in a plea deal, and as a result, I don't know, prisons are probably disproportionately full of people who didn't do it. You know? And I say disproportionately, I can't know for sure. I don't know if it's like a majority or just a plurality or whatever, but, you know, it's not good. And ultimately, I think the reason for that is just that the you know, prosecutors and police and whatever don't actually care that much whether or not the people going to prison are guilty or not. Because, like, that's not their job. That gives you hella air. I swear that used to not send you as high. Not quite. I'm stuck on that Wikipedia graphic because I'm racing right now. I need to take a second before... Oh. Throw that forward. Red shells. Okay. Got him. Okay. Okay. 13.2 clearance rate. Oops, Google gave me fake news. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, that's Google. You know, Google's been poisoned by fucking AI slop for like a year or more at this point. Clearance rates can be problematic for measuring the performance of police services and for comparing various police services. This is because police force may employ a different way of measuring clearance rates. Each force may have a different method of reporting when a quote-unquote crime has occurred, and different criteria for determining when a crime has been cleared. A given police force may appear to have a much better clearance rate because of its calculation methodology. Yeah, that's true. A lot of this is police-provided data as well. And if clearance, in a general sense, if the clearance of a crime means just that a charge has been applied, like somebody's been arrested and charged, then, like, that doesn't really mean anything, right? Like, that you know, a lot of people who are charged could have, like, not done it and will never really know. The justice system is not a really good way of determining who's innocent and who's guilty, right? It's a good way of determining who the police wants to put in prison, but it's not the most reliable determiner of, like, you know, whether or not somebody did the crime and therefore deserves to do excuse me, the time, because, like, the police work with prosecutors and whatever, and it is a very well-known phenomenon that in local jurisdictions or whatever, just to keep things quiet, they'll sort of fudge a case here and there. And in fact, the you know, there's also, that's not even to consider the motives that police might have to offer data a certain way that might portray them more in one light as opposed to another, you know? Ultimately, I think also, like, the police are a very flawed method, but, like, having a police force as opposed to, like, social community intervention of some kind that isn't police, like, basically having police instead of, like, just social workers all on call all the time and whatnot is an extremely flawed way of dealing with crime, because you're sort of recreating the circumstances under which crime takes place. You are reinforcing poverty and income inequality, which are the key factors that actually lead to crime in the first place. This is one of the reasons that I'm so anti-police, just as a concept, is because when you think about what a police force does, they go out at night with their batons, or in America's case, with their guns, and you know, whatever else. And they, you know, look for people to arrest. They look for people who are acting out of sorts to throw away into prison, which is basically the trash can of society, right? When, like, that will only produce more of the alienating circumstances that lead people to a place of desperation or mental instability to commit crime in the first place. Police are a perpetuator of crime epidemics and poverty epidemics in the country. They do nothing to fix them. If we were really concerned about addressing crime, we would be, again, taking a look at the root issue. The root issues of poverty, inequality, instability, alienation, and whatnot. A much more critical approach that would necessitate the abolition of police departments as we currently understand them, and would necessitate a very drastic restructuring of economics. But people in politics are not interested in actually fixing crime. It's almost like, you know, that thing that Trump said about immigration. They're not interested in fixing the problem. They're interested in making a political career off of the problem and running on it. I guess this is another way in which liberals are the moderate wing of fascism. You know, think your centrist Bill Clinton types, all the folks who would have supported the crime bill back in the day, right? They're not interested in understanding what makes crime happen or how to fix it, how to rehabilitate people, how to prevent people from falling into such unstable and desperate circumstances in the first place. They're interested in being the good guy in the movie, the cop that comes to save the day by shooting the bad guy. Never mind the fact that you've like mortified people by shooting somebody, or potentially, if that person has family, created even more instability, insecurity, and anxiety from which crime will later take place. You know? It's a very frustrating issue to be a part of the discourse on, because I know that like there's only a select few people that can see past the terminal brain worms of like you know, back the blue and whatnot. There's a sort of passive acceptance of a police presence where I don't think it should exist, especially when, you know, the police is so blatantly an occupying force, right? Like, you look at the kind of equipment that police use, the kind of gear they're dressed up in and whatnot, and it's reminiscent of the way that military troops dress up in authoritarian dictatorships and when they are in a foreign country to occupy like local territory. But I think at this point I'm sort of at risk of rambling a little bit over the issue. I think I've said I've driven the point home as much as I can that, you know, police don't fix anything, you know, and you know, that's why on a fundamental level, I guess I'm opposed to the concept of this, like, of a police department and whatnot, right? Like, I call me crazy, but I really don't think that you should have a paramilitary force patrolling the streets and threatening people with violence, with direct violence, not even the kind of indirect, more administrative violence of like removing people from their community and putting them in like a rehab facility to you know, I don't know, give them fun arts and crafts activities to learn to socialize with people, right? Like, you could consider that a form of state violence because you are moving people around against their will. But let's be real, there's such a night and day difference between that and what police do. But again, rambling, waffling, yapping, etc. I've said all I needed to say. Nothing I say is going to be new beyond this point, so future me in the editing, if that's a segment, cut it there, and I'll get to that when I get to that. Voila. Hello, Ramses XF. I'm Ram. I can see that. Computer scientists hate him. Local man installs more RAM with this one simple trick. I'm really not racing too well this time. But we all have those days, I guess, where we don't quite perform up to snuff. The next thing I had, let's see. Maybe after this race I'll get to it. The last thing on my list. Because, oh boy, it was a doozy. Oops. God damn it. Getting bumped all over the place. That guy's me is cursed. Glurp? Mans looks like a minion. Mr. Beak? This is misinformation. My man clearly has a nose and a mouth and not a beak. I want my money back. Alright, can I do this with a star? Will this be enough of a boost? Yes, it will be. Holy shit. I even got the wrong angle and it was enough. Wow. Okay. Whoa, looked like he clipped that. I didn't get a trick. Give me this item. Yay. Mushroom? Good enough. Okay. Please don't shock before I use this mega. That would be really nice. Oh, he tried to shoot that. He had tried to throw that at me. Okay, they shocked, but that's okay. I'm in a surprisingly good position for what's been going on this race. Gonna take that box, give me this one. Okay. This is good, I think. I'm gonna try to hold this. Alright. Got the inside conveyor, yes. Please no fake item box. Alright, cool. Green shell, banana. It is what it is. Now give me that! Nice. Ooh, okay, I got the tractors. I can sort of get back up to speed. Nice. Very good. Third place. Or maybe I got second. That's a pretty big lag start if I got... Okay, no, I didn't get third. Jeez. I felt bad for the guy in front of me if that decided that I got second. Alright. Let's take a break from all that heavy stuff and talk about how Israel blew up 4,000 pagers in Lebanon. And, you know, just some light news coverage. Let me see which one of these motherfuckers do I really want to take this story from. Maybe I'll open some Al Jazeera. Maybe I'll open Axios or something. Sure, I'll have those two. I'll go to Al Jazeera first. Exploding pagers, psychological warfare. Israel's attack on Hezbollah. How the explosions were rigged, what will happen next, and what the point was. All are questions that remain unanswered. Well, I'm less interested in that, and more just the details of the event itself. I guess they have some of that. In Beirut, at least 9 people were killed and some 3,000 injured. I saw 4,000 from the Guardian. You know what? I should just go to the Guardian. That's where I saw this first. But yeah, the meat of the matter is that Israel either distributed the pagers, or I don't remember the specific details, or sabotaged pagers that were later to be distributed to Lebanese citizens, well, you know, living in Lebanon, of course, because ostensibly they wanted to attack Hezbollah. Hezbollah, for reference, the reason that people are using pagers is because, you know, Israel had been tracking cell phone signals. Israel had some success, I think, in the past with targeting Hezbollah operatives and militants or whatnot based on cell phone comms, because cell phones are trackable devices. And but as a response to that, the Hezbollah actually stopped using cell phones. They started using pagers because pagers are much more difficult to track. In fact, I don't think they are trackable in the same way that cell phones are. But this also meant that people in Lebanon weren't using cell phones really either, because Hezbollah, being a non-state militant group, being a terror group, they have family who are civilians, as do most militaries. You know, it's well-known thing that happens. But so you can imagine these pagers were not just being used by Hezbollah, they were being used by the general population as well. So Israel, of course, because Israel is Israel, they don't actually care about civilian casualties, especially not in a Arab country. And they planted a bunch of IEDs in these pagers somehow. Either like some people were speculating, oh maybe they like overheated the batteries to make them explode. But regardless, they had some method of making pagers blow up when remotely detonated. And they detonated them a little while ago, like a day or so ago. And this resulted in several thousand injuries. Al Jazeera reporting 3,000, so I'll just go with that number. And somehow less than 10 people killed, thankfully. Yeah, 9 people killed according to Axios. No group has claimed responsibility for the explosions, but suspicion immediately fell on Israel's intelligence service. I wonder why. At best, this was a very sloppy attempt to do some kind of attack on Hezbollah, and a very ethically questionable one at that, because if psychological warfare is a component of this, then they knew that that civilians would be getting caught up in these explosions, and it's just another consequence of Israel being enabled by the United States to basically behave as a rogue state, you know. And it is like a like, it's a new war crime, I'll say that much. You know, it's kind of surprising, at least on one level, that Israel is going through the trouble of doing something like, oh, this is a military operation to track and target Hezbollah members, instead of just like blowing up a school or a hospital. That's typically what they do in the Gaza Strip, although I guess since they're not technically at war with Lebanon already, they have to kind of, they have to put on not the kid gloves, but what Israel perceives to be, you know, comparative kid gloves, if that makes sense, you know? This is you know, least war crime adjacent Israeli military operation, you know? Oh, I got somebody with that. And I win, I guess. Cool. There are multiple news outlets reporting, I think Axios mentions this as well, that this is going to escalate tensions in the region. You know, big fucking shocker. Israel does a thing that massively escalates tensions in the Middle East. In other news, it is Wednesday today. But this is, you know, like, chuck another point on the scoreboard about, like, damn, if only America put a leash on their dog, you know? As much as a derogatory framing as that may sound, Israel is functionally like a military outpost and base for the U.S. in the Middle East. And it's one of the reasons why they've been so belligerent, is because we've sort of just let them do whatever with no threat of consequence. You know, just take a look at the way that the Biden administration and now that Harris's campaign is framing the issue around Hezbollah, Gaza, the West Bank. They are all doing it in terms of like, well, it couldn't possibly be Israel's fault. You know, and they have a right to defend themselves, of course. Like, when the response to a literal genocide is Israel has the right to defend itself, I think, you know, you've kind of lost the plot there, and this, like, that's a suitable reason, like, oh, okay, so that's why Israel keeps doing this shit, because they know they can get away with it. And this is also the reason that we haven't seen much retaliation in the Middle East from other actors. From, you know, Hezbollah, been, you know, they've launched a rocket volley or two, but beyond that, there's not been much activity, because who is the other big power in the Middle East? It's Iran, right? And Iran has their own geopolitical interests, and those geopolitical interests mostly revolve around the United States leaving the Middle East. Iran wants to be the regional hegemon, which I think geopolitically makes the most sense in terms of a stable Middle East. You know, people can get mad at me because I think Iran should be the primary power in the region. And like, yeah, obviously Iran's a insane like Islamist dictatorship, but ultimately they are going to have a much easier time remaining that way if the United States is there to remind them of why people should hate liberal democracy or whatever, you know. That like nothing good happens as a result of the United States continuing to be in the Middle East and try to like continually induce wedges against Iran in the region, right? In fact, Israel, like if this is from the perspective, like if we flip the perspective and say like, okay, so now what are the United States' interests? Good fucking question, because I don't know, given the way how like Israel's acting. Nothing that Israel has done has been especially good for American interests in the Middle East. All that has done is alienate Iran and other countries more from the United States. All it's done is like alienate the United States from the international community for how much we support, well, war crimes in the region. Oh no, I'm missing the Lebanon attack convo? That's okay. All this will be on YouTube anyway. There's a big unlisted the playlist is publicly available, but all the videos are unlisted on my channel of all the past live streams that I've done. So, you know, it'll be a VOD on my Twitch page for a while, and it'll be up on YouTube as well. But, like, Israel acting in this way is not good for anybody. Yeah, no problem. And I mean, most people don't check that out either way. It's possible I'll make this a segment. But, you know, it's not gone forever just because you missed it. You know, don't worry about that. Israel acting this way doesn't actually make any sense, except from the perspective that they fucking hate Muslims and Arabs. And, you know, doing that whole genocidal shtick in the Gaza Strip. Which, I mean, that tracks because fascism is an inherently incoherent and irrational ideology which leads people and states to do incoherent and irrational things, unless you look at it from the perspective of we just hate XYZ ethnic group. Again, irrational, but in a way consistent. It's consistently irrational. And, you know, if the U.S. put a leash on their dog, you know, Israel being kind of the geopolitical attack dog in the Middle East, that and also Netanyahu and his government trying to stay in power to avoid prosecution, that for sure. You know, that plays a pretty big part in it as well. If Netanyahu leaves office, he's cooked. The Israeli courts hate him. The international courts hate him. Yeah, there's nowhere he can go where he can be safe. Except maybe the United States, if we're being real. Because the United States is not going to give Netanyahu up to the Israeli courts. We're not going to give him up to the international courts because we're not a signatory state. Yeah, homie gonna come back to Philly is that's what's up. Yeah, of course, you know what's funny? If he comes back to Philly, he might get his ass lynched because, like, Philadelphia is a progressive stronghold, and progressives in America fucking despise Netanyahu. You know, like the Working Families Party has been winning big in the Philadelphia area, and you know, infinite guesses as to what their leanings are on the Israel-Palestine like issue right now. You know, like there's nowhere Netanyahu can go that he will be safe except for like fucking Middle America. You know. What was I gonna say? It was about like, yeah, Israel being America's attack dog. They're not actually doing all that much for American interests, and even if they were, it's only like, it's only in a extremely suboptimal fashion because like the American interests are much better served by the Middle East being stable. Right? And not like the Middle East being unstable. In fact, everybody's interests are better served by the Middle East being a relatively stable place. But America and Israel are acting obstacles to that. And that's how you get shit like this. And that's why things like this pager attack, like the genocide in Gaza and the continued invasions and raids of the West Bank are just going to continue to happen either until, God forbid, Israel kills every last one of them, or until the United States finally capitulates to overwhelming internal public pressure and says, all right, fine, we'll put a leash on Israel, or some shit like that, you know. And, you know, to the credit of the American public and the public of various countries abroad, the demands are consistent, they are coherent, and they are workable. You know, ceasefire and arms embargo. You know, force Netanyahu to do a ceasefire. Embargo on arms sales to Israel. Stop giving them weapons with which to do this. You know, makes total sense. In fact, a lot of there are some Latin American countries that have already cut ties, resulting in Israel having a extremely severe economic downturn. You know, they're not getting coal anymore. They're not getting. I don't think they're getting lithium anymore either, which they need for batteries. You know, it was like Colombia, Bolivia, and I think Honduras or something cut economic ties with Israel. So now they can't get their stuff, at least some of their stuff. And that's the kind of action that will meaningfully influence Israel to behave differently, is subjecting them to economic consequences for this kind of behavior. And of course, the international condemnation, and if the international courts decide to actually do something, that would be great too. Anyways. Yeah, in short, Israel's fucking insane, and it sucks to be in the Middle East right now if you're not an Israeli. And even if you are an Israeli, it sucks to be in the Middle East right now. Maybe life in the Middle East just kind of sucks because of various things, including the way that Israel behaves regarding all of its neighbors and anybody who is, tangential to Palestine in any way. You know. If that's a segment future me, just end it there. Fucking... This is just like a fucking Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day moment for everybody that's not Israel. That guy's meme name is Dry Bowser. Which is funny because I have a custom skin on Dry Bowser that makes him Dragonite. Ooh. Oh. That was probably as tight as you could possibly take that turn. Okay, I'm glad I didn't hit that. Jesus. I didn't hit anybody. Wow, me and First have such a big breakaway. Which is nutso considering I'm on Mario Mach Bike. Like, obviously First gets a pretty big breakaway on this track. That was genius item usage. Let's fucking go. Oh. Just enough time to get that mushroom, throw the green shell back, use the mushroom, dodge the blue shell, and finish in a nice second place. I'm kind of sick with it. When I'm not, like, in a fugue state. Yeah, the reason I did a morning stream this morning, I actually want to talk about this a little bit. I don't usually do streams in the morning. Usually I do them in the afternoon because early afternoon is like the best time frame for like an audience spanning from the west coast of the United States all the way over to like Central and Eastern Europe, right? You know, for people in Europe, it would be evening to like right before bed, you know, like watching evening TV or whatever, that kind of time frame. And for, you know, for people in the United States, obviously it'd be around lunchtime or early afternoon or maybe late morning for people on the West Coast. And, you know, I've been operating off of that for a while now. And in fact, that's still my, like, default stream time. But today I was like, you know what? There have been a couple things that happened on Monday and Tuesday that made me, like, not want to stream. And so I decided to take a break from streaming. Which I ultimately think, like, for those 2 days, I think that was the correct decision. Because on Monday I had a lot going on. And then on Tuesday the weather was so bad that I, like, had a hard time with basic executive function stuff. Which, you know, it happens. You have those days, and you make what you can of them. But then today, I think I was ready and primed to just kind of do it. You started just as I clocked in, so it worked out perfectly. Well, that's great to hear. It worked out really nicely for me too, because I've started trying to, like, I don't know, be a more active participant in my home life, right? Sometimes I have a bit of a mental block, or I used to have, I'm trying to get rid of it, a mental block on certain chores and, like, activities and like, life stuff, both as, like, household chores and then also as, like, oh, I have to do this, like, video editing for stream, I have to do this or this or this, where I always, like, overthink it, and by that I mean I think about it at all instead of saying, okay, I'm going to do this now, and just kind of do it, you know? A good example would be doing the dishes, right? Like, I have been getting a lot better at consistently doing the dishes lately, but there was always that kind of nagging feeling like, this feels like a chore, but, like, I don't need to think of it like that. I don't need to see it like that. It just takes like a fucking 2 or 3 minutes. And so yesterday and today, or actually from Monday on through to today, I decided, hey, what if I just did it? It was like, oh, there's dishes. I'm going to do these. And, like, didn't think about it beyond that. And it has actually made it so much easier. It's kind of like how I got used to doing my own laundry over time. Like, in college, I was like, well, I guess I have to do my own laundry now. And I just sort of did it, and that resulted in it being, like, a very easy adjustment to make. That's kind of how I'm approaching doing stuff around the house now. Cleaning up, fixing stuff. And in addition to, like, you know, the laundry still. But then I also decided, you know what? I'm going to start trying to take that attitude towards my stream, where, like, I guess I have a regular schedule, but, like, I don't want to sort of make a mountain out of a molehill. I'm just going to do it. So this morning, I got up, I did my thing, I showered, I had breakfast, and then I, like, kind of went through my newsfeed. Bro, guess what arrived? $1 more billion. My Nintendo Switch GameCube adapter. Sick! That's really cool. And so this morning I sat down and I was like, okay, you know what? It's stream time. And so I just went and started opening up all the tabs for stuff that I had that I wanted to talk about today. And then I just started streaming, and that was it. And I, like, didn't think about it really. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I think that's gonna serve me well. Just no thoughts, head empty, unless I'm talking about socialism, in which case my brain is so big, you would not even believe how hard it is to carry my massive cranium around. It hurts my back. You know. And, you know, so far so good. GameCube controller is legit broken in 8 Deluxe because you can do motion glider without doing motion controls. Wait, really? How does that work? I've never done motion controls in 8 Deluxe. I have done them on 3DS, though. That's kind of fun. I didn't get the low tree. But I got the good landing. Whoa! I clipped through the ceiling. Basically, motion glider is a thing for some reason. Going on a glider with motion controls straight up increases your glider speed? What the hell? That is broken. Damn, that actually makes GameCube controller the objective strongest control scheme for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Wow. Wait, how am I in third? Did somebody do the glitch? Somebody probably did the glitch. If you move back and forward, you get even more speed? That's crazy. You go fucking gas, gas, gas. I'm gonna step on the gas whenever you're in glider mode, but, like, only with GameCube controller. That's fucking nuts. Ah. I tried for the cheeky snipe. You can straight up go horizontal if you hold right with the GameCube controller. Wait, real? That's funny. Dude, you know what that reminds me of? Have you seen those videos of airplanes taking off where the wind is so strong they have to basically take off at a 45-degree angle, so they're flying, like, sideways? That reminds me of that. And clipping through the floor when they land, that's also pretty funny. Me when my game is definitely not broken. Yeah, it's like that. Fucking goofy ass, like 50-mile-per-hour gust of wind airplane looking ass. Damn it, I missed those items 2 laps in a row. Also been getting into Smash Ultimate. That's cool. I've played a lot less Smash Ultimate recently because if you can believe it, it has too many characters for me to feel like I can learn the matchups. And I think there are some critiques that I have of it that are similar to what I think somebody said, I believe it was Brian F, about Street Fighter V, that it sort of feels like the controls feel like you're in the mud a little bit. But ultimately, it's still Smash Bros. It's still a very fun game. Robin Piranha Plant Main, very cool. I play a lot of characters in Smash Ultimate, but I think the characters that I'm strongest with are Roy and Captain Falcon. Which is, funnily enough, those are also 2 characters I'm very strong with in Melee. Kazuya main? Nice. Kazuya, I used to, like, I get super frustrated playing against Kazuya. And part of that is because I do believe he's a little bit broken and unbalanced. But ultimately, I think it's just hard to translate a FGC character into a Smash Bros. Game. Ken and Ryu on their own were pretty hard leaps to make, you know? And those are relatively simple characters from a pretty straightforward fighting game, right? But then Kazuya is like, I don't know how straightforward he is in Tekken, but Tekken is much less simple of a fighting game than Street Fighter is, you know? Tui just fucking ignores ledge invincibility. That's true. It eats right through it. He's broken, but he kind of sucks against super fast, lighter characters. That's true. There's a little bit of Ganondorf syndrome with Kazuya, where it's like, it's hard for him to get that one hit, but all he needs is that one hit. Yeah, Tekken 3D is wild. Don't forget, Patui just makes grabbing plant risky as fuck. Yes, that's true. Because if you try to grab him during Patui, you eat fucking 18 damage for free. It's like, fucking, wow, okay. Oh, here's another character that I'm actually pretty strong as in Smash Ultimate, Fox. And the reason I'm strong with Fox is because of my experience with Melee Fox. Up air ladder combos are super strong. And Fox, his like main kill moves would be smash attacks and like back air in Ultimate. But if you're playing against a character with a like not very good recovery, you can get some really cheeky gimps with Shine. I suck with characters where you go 200 miles per hour. They're definitely some of the harder characters to learn. In fact, I think one of the easiest characters to learn in the game is Ganondorf, who is known for being very slow. Except Pichu, specifically Pichu for some reason. I can do Pichu, not Pikachu. That is interesting. Huh. Eh. No, it goes around. God damn it. I wish the bullet would take the shortcut. Okay, it's gonna drop me here. I'm gonna go wide and get this item. Cool. Whoa, my god! For a second, I thought they were stationary. Like, he's very fast for a heavy, but not Fox speed. Oh, Bowser? Yeah, yeah. Bowser's really cool. I love what they did with Bowser in Smash Bros. Ultimate. Like, he's actually decent, which is kind of crazy. But not so good that you feel like you're basically, like, just privileged for playing him, right? Also, Bowser literally has armor on just as a character, which is kind of funny. Like, jabs don't work on him. My worst character in Smash is Robin or Pac-Man. I would rank those as some of my worst characters as well. Pac-Man, I was so goofy that I played him a bunch in Smash 4, so I kind of know how to play Pac-Man, allegedly. Robin, I just couldn't really see myself doing that. I suck at projectile gods. I'm not great at those characters that rely mostly on projectiles, but it depends on the kind of projectiles, I guess. Mega Man I'm okay with because the straightforward projectiles are much easier for me. Even if you have a lot of them, it's like, oh, okay, his down B he just throws straight ahead. His neutral B he can throw in a direction. And then his side B is straight ahead as well. His jab is weird, so I won't use it. I like Plant and Rob because I have good projectiles, but they also have very good other offensive moves. Yeah, that's a valid reason to play a certain character for sure. You could do some goofy shit with Gyro and Patui, yeah. Okay, my man's on the standard bike. Standard bike appreciator, let's go. What are you gonna do with Pac-Man or Olimar's Nair? Pac-Man's Nair is like a... Well, I hardly ever use it. Usually, your spacing tool in neutral with Pac-Man is forward air. Just that little kick, little love tap in front of him. But yeah, there are some moves on some characters I'm like, what is this move even for? You know? Annoying Smash Bros. Player ever on Quick Play? Really? I'm more of a melee person because I like the combos in that game a bit better. The controls, although they are still in a way they can be very clunky, it feels a little bit less like you're in the mud because there's no input delay or buffer or whatever, I think. No, there is buffer. There is some buffer in melee, but it's not like ultimate. Absolutely. Motherfucker played Pokemon Trainer, would pick Palutena's Temple, only use side B or run away as Squirtle, would do 4-stock 300 HP stamina matches. That man's on some kind of grind set that I am not familiar with. I don't know what he's cooking. That man is on the psychological torture grind set. True. He puts you in the device, and by the device I mean Palutena's Temple. That's the device. I've been playing a lot of, you know, on the subject. I've been playing a lot of Street Fighter lately. You know, I started playing Smash Bros. In like 2013 when I was in like middle school. I remember as a kid falling for those how to unlock Sonic and Tails and Melee guides. I have to do some wild shit like survive 30 minutes in cool Melee. I mean, you know, there's a custom skin for DK where he has the Sonic color scheme, and there's a custom skin for Fox where he's Tails. So you know, close enough, right? Yeah, I love those goofy rumors, especially when one of them actually turned out to be real. In Street Fighter 3, I recently picked up Third Strike, which is like the fucking end game for fighting game players in a sense, where it's like the least beginner friendly fighting game of all time. And I've sometimes I'll practice by just playing arcade mode and trying to like learn some fundamentals of like, okay, this is safe, this isn't safe, whatever. And Gil gives me grief every single fucking time. That man is a cheater character through and through. And the devs knew it too, because like it was an arcade game, right, when it came out. So you weren't supposed to beat him. You were supposed to lose and then have to put in another coin, and then beat him. But in certain releases of the game, you actually can play as the cheater character in all of their like cheater character glory, which is insane to me. You know, and when you play as them, you get to you do kind of get to see just how much of a cheater character they are. Who the fuck allowed Mewtwo's unlock in Melee? 700 verse matches or leave your GameCube on for 20 hours straight. You know what's crazy? I actually unlocked Mewtwo legit. I got a copy of Melee for my Nintendo GameCube back in like 2015, 16. I was like, well, first of all, I gotta unlock all the characters and stages, right? Does he know? Like, little did he know. I actually did play 700 versus matches just to unlock Mewtwo. Remember Sonic the Fighters? Is that the game where fucking Big the Cat has a Raging Demon super attack? Because if so, then yes. Casually misouts the Sonic. Alright, I'm calling it there. I've done my 2 hours. I've done my time. I did the crime by being a Twitch streamer, and I've done the... No, it wasn't. Oh, okay. Sonic the Fighters. Oh, yeah, no. Okay, this game. Yeah. The game that has fucking wacko damage scaling. What's crazy in that game, your combos actually do more damage when you're low on health, and they do less damage when you have more health, which is an insane comeback mechanic. And when I say more or less, it's like the same combo can do twice as much damage if you have a like tiny bit of health as if you had full health. Genuinely like insane thing to put in a fighting game. Some out there shit, dude. Basically, the final boss of Sonic Fighters was Metal Sonic and Eggman. On the 360 version, you could play as Metal Sonic. Dear fucking god, cracked as fuck. Yeah, I'm willing to bet that probably anybody who played that game feels the same way about Metal Sonic as I do about Gil in Street Fighter Third Strike. My man's fucking gives you the die treatment. Like, he just fucking screams at you over and over again, and then you die. And it's like, well, fuck. Alright. He had a laser move that did 50% of your health. That was very easy move to do. Like, you could spam it. You could spam that shit and it bypass shield? Splendid. Great. Love my fighting game bosses. Dude, that's actually worse than Gil. Because when you said laser move that does 50% of your health, I was like, oh yeah, Gil has that. But Gil's is a super attack. He has to charge his meter in order to be able to use it. But a spammable move, you could just do that shit, it's over. It's fucking Jover, dude. Sonic the Hedgehog has fallen. Billions must play as Dr. Eggman. You're supposed to jump over it, and he did it every once in a while. I see. God, the ultimate funny move is to do that move and be like, yeah, you know, you're supposed to jump over it during the boss fight. And then you make it so unreactable that you don't even have time to jump. Like, well, shit. I don't think... Wait, that's literally what it is? Great. Epic game. Epic game design. Thank you, Sega. Very cool. Love that. I'm not gonna rate anybody because none of the channels that I follow are live right now. But this is about the end of stream, so I'm gonna probably leave it here. Worst part is Metal Sonic has a fire theme in Sonic the Fighters. Metal Sonic always has a fire theme, which sucks when you have to fight him. See ya? Yeah, I'll see you next time. Look, stay tuned. There's always gonna be more stuff. Thanks for tuning in. Glad to have seen a fellow grad today. And also, I don't know, I guess just stay tuned for next time, where hopefully my brain isn't as scrambled, and I am less frustrated, and not driving like complete shit. Although on the bright side, no frame drops today. We back in it, baby. Alright. Bye. Take care of yourself, man. Thank you. You too.